Hey everyone, it's Darren. Welcome. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you've probably seen that I'm a big fan of intermediate columns, intermediate rows, even whole intermediate worksheets. And there are times when you actually must use them. There are times when it just makes your life a lot easier. And there are times when you really, really should use them as well, even if you don't technically have to. And before we get into when you really should use them and when you absolutely must use them, uh, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on and why and how to use them, I guess, first. So if you look at the data here, this one that came up in an Excel Facebook group a few days ago, and somebody was asking how to deal with this data. So the data they were receiving was coming out of a different system that they had no control of. They couldn't change the formatting of it. That's a date. So the format they were getting here, you know, you have June 19th, 2018, January 15th, 1959. Down here you have November 20th, 1936. So you have no leading zeros on the month. So the length of this varies. And they were trying to get this into a date format so they could actually work with it. And to do that, there's a few ways to do it. One way is to just type in the formula, right? Okay, well, let's just type in the formula and see how this goes. We'll see if I get lucky with the formula here. So we want to use the date formula. And the first part of the date formula is year, which of course is right, A1, 4 characters. Okay, that part was easy. And then we want the month. Well, the month, here we start to run into a little bit of a problem. This is something that you'll know if you do text parsing. Is the month 6 or 6-1? Well, you and I can look at it and know it's just 6. So it's either the first or the first 2 characters. In this case, we're going to do if len a1 equals, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then I want to do left of a1, comma 2, else left a1, comma 1, then close out the if, and that should give us month. And now day is going to be sort of the same thing. If len a1 equals 8, comma, so then I want mid a1, comma, see, so it's 3, comma 2, else mid, I gotta change that to a1, comma 2, comma 2, and close that out and close out the date function. And I just have to change, which one did I have wrong up here? That one. And I think I got it right. Let's see if it copies down okay here. Let's make it a little bit wider. Yeah, it looks like I got it right. Okay. Um, that's far from the most complex formula I've ever typed. Uh, but if you're looking at that and you're thinking, that looks really complicated, kind of is. And it's kind of easy to make a mistake in there. So the way you do this with intermediate columns is you'd actually just break down the pieces separately. So I know I'm not going to want the year. So that's going to be equals right A1, comma 4. And I can look at it and say, yep, that's right. Is that right for everything? Yep, looks good. Okay, so I've got my year good. Okay, what about month? Equals if uh, len of A1 equals 8. Then I want to do left of A1, comma 2, else left of A1, comma 1, 61. That's not the month. Okay, so here's an example of where formulas can go wrong. If you look right up here, I have the parentheses in the wrong place there. Okay, got 6. So that's good. Let's make sure that actually copies down properly. Yep, I captured the 1 digit and the 2 digit months, so that's all good. So now I just need the date on here, and this is US formatted date, so it's 2 digit month, 2 digit day, 4 digit year. In other parts of the country, in other parts of the world, these are in different order. Just adjust as needed. So this is going to start off the same way. If len a1 equals 8, then mid a1 comma 3 comma 2, else mid a1 comma 2 comma 2, and close that out. There's 19. That all good? Yep, that all looks good. And then I can just do date of C1, D1, E1. And make it a little bit wider so it fits. There we go. So if you don't mind typing really long formulas, and if there's a problem in the formula, it's going to be really hard to figure out where it is. You can do just some simple formulas and get the same result. Now, what do you do with all these stray columns? Well, you got a couple options. You can either just collapse them down and you don't see them again. And that works well if you're going to be putting more data into this regularly. If you're not going to be putting any more data into it regularly, you can actually just copy it and then paste values. And you could actually just delete those and it won't matter. So that's how you use intermediate columns. Intermediate worksheets and rows are the same thing. So when do you have to use it? Well, there's a limit. The total formula length of an Excel formula can only be 8,192 characters. And if you're thinking that's like 10 lines of text or something, you're right, it is. And if you're thinking there's no way any formula could ever be that complex, I'm afraid you're wrong. I've hit that limit a number of times. Uh, it's, it may seem unreasonably large, but if you're starting to use a lot of different worksheets and the worksheets have descriptive names on them, sometimes worksheet names end up being like 20 characters long or something. And if you keep referencing stuff in other worksheets, you can chew up that 8,000 characters and use that up. And then you have to use some kind of intermediate column. Even if you're not getting lost, Excel just can't record it. Um, when should you use it? I would use it anytime that you're working with a formula that you're not real confident with. You know, if you're doing a lot of text parsing, if you've been doing text parsing for months or years or whatever, and you're comfortable with it, uh, something like this formula here, that's not that big a deal, right? But if you're new to text parsing, that can be pretty complicated, and you might want to break it up into intermediate columns just to make sure that you have every step right along the way. If you're demonstrating stuff to other people, and that's another reason that even for stuff that's relatively simple that I'm comfortable with, I will still use intermediate columns on this channel because if people don't know what I'm doing, if you didn't know any of these text parsing commands, and I'm sure a lot of viewers don't, what is this len A1 and left A1, A2 thing? And I have videos on these. I'll link those down in the description. Len just says what's the length of this. Uh, Left is go into A1 and take the first 2 characters. Right over here is going to A1, take the first 4 characters. Mid is going to A1, go over 3 characters, skip over the first 3 characters, then take the next 2 characters. And that's all those are. Um, but if you're new to those functions, it can be really helpful to have the intermediate columns just to make sure that everything's right along the way. so that when you get to the end result, you know it's actually the right result. Uh, so you probably should use it when you're not real comfortable with the formulas if they're getting long. And how you define long is really a matter of your experience with the functions you're using. When you absolutely have to use it is when it gets really long. When you're talking, if you can get 8,000 characters, you really pretty much have to use it. When should you really, really, really use it? Well, when you should definitely really use it, this thing called that I call reusable worksheets, where you're getting data in from several other places, and you just sort of drag these sheets in, and it just calculates through everything for you. And I'm gonna have a video coming up on how to do that. That's an incredibly powerful function in Excel. At previous jobs, managers absolutely loved these because they could take data from a number of different reports that were sent to them, and very quickly they'd get exactly the data they needed processed out of it without having to go through all the work of doing it themselves. And I'll have a video coming up at some point on how to do those reusable worksheets. But there, you really should use it. Anyway, if you learned anything from this today, please do like the video and subscribe and hit notify. If you have any questions, any comments, put those down in the comments. Also, if you put in comments, that really tells YouTube, hey, people are interacting with the channel, and that'll also help to attract people to the channel, help me out a lot. I do also have a Patreon page at patreon.com/data analysis excellence if you could help out there. I'd appreciate that a lot. And thanks for stopping by today, and I'll see you for the next one.